Welcome to Networking Arizona with host Carol Blonder. You'll hear interviews with businesses located throughout the valley. Networking, it makes a difference.
If I traded it all.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am so excited. I want to bring on my first guest right away. Instead of talking a little bit about me, I'm going to go ahead right in with my first guest because it's a great day to be networking. I have with me Shirley Weiss, and she's an author and a speaker. She's got a lot of kudos behind her. Welcome to the show. I understand that you are a $9 billion woman. What does that mean?
Well, thanks,
and lucky you.
Well, thanks, Carol. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And I think the $9 billion reference has to do with the fact that I was the first female chief administrative officer for the whole Mayo Clinic system across the world. So I was overseeing $9 billion in revenue and about 60,000 employees.
Wow.
So that's kind of where I left off my career as I started to do speaking and wrote my first book.
Okay, now your book, today we're going to be promoting this book. It's the first one. It's called Playing to Win in Business. It's book one of the Just Respect for Women series. Please tell us a little bit about the book because we're going to open up the lines for people to get entered in to win. Go ahead.
Well, I wrote the book because as I was leaving my 40 years of healthcare leadership career, people kept asking me how I did it. I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I started as a nurse's aide and worked my way up through all levels of administration to be, as I said, the first woman chief administrator for all of Mayo. So I decided as I was kind of finishing up my corporate world career, I was going to write the book. And what I do is I share my tips. And early on, I really studied and decided that the world is really made up of games. And that to be
Tell
successful,
us about it.
Yeah, well, to be successful with the games, you have to understand, first of all, that you're playing a game. And I don't know that all women necessarily step back to look at the world in that way. And it doesn't mean to minimize or just to understate the importance of the work you're doing, but there's the work game, there's the family game, there's the dating game, and you really have to understand what you're doing and sometimes step back and see if you can understand what the rules are in order to be successful.
So we're going to open up the lines to the audience for everyone to call and get entered in to win. We're going to give away a book here at the station. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Now, this book then, is it for women or men and women?
Well, it's for men and women, but I find that I really like to talk particularly for women because the guys often understand life's a game because
they understand games. They've been playing them a long time.
They have. And I find with younger women like my granddaughters and some of the younger women I coach, I do some work at Arizona State, that I think that it's been good that women have been involved in more competitive athletics because you learn to win and lose. And I think that's sometimes hard for women to understand that it's just a game. And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And you have to understand how to get yourself back up, to have grit and perseverance so you can get back up the next day and play the game again.
Where can you get this book other than here?
Well, it's on Amazon.com, and it's been very successful. It's been #1 in the Women to Business group for many, many weeks. But, yeah, Amazon.com is the best place to get the book.
Okay, but you can also get it here by calling. Everyone's getting entered in to win. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll-free it's 1-866-536-1100. The book is called Playing to Win in Business, book one of the Just Respect for Women series. And again, our number here is 602-277-5369. I have to ask you before we go on, because it says book one of the Just Respect for Women series. What does that mean?
Well, the term just respect is one that I've been using, and I actually have trademarked because what it refers to is I believe that my secret sauce, the thing that really made me successful, in addition to really studying and understand the rules of whatever game I was playing, is my ability to respect myself and then to show that respect to others. And so the just respect refers to the fact that most of us think that we're respectful. And probably in our hearts we are, but you have to show it. It's kind of like Just Do It with Nike. You have to just respect. You have to show it. You have to pay attention to people, be interested in them and their success. And I believe that by giving respect, that's how it comes back to you again.
I don't know about any of you out there, but one thing I love is to read books. Daily, I read a little bit, actually, to help me succeed, whether it, obviously for me, business-wise, personal-wise as well. But this book, it says at the way top here, it says to get a clear view on what truly drives success, read Playing to Win in Business. What does it mean?
Well, I think what I mean by the book is, and what I've tried to share with people, are really lessons. And it's the kind of the playing to win principle. So understand it's a game and studying the rules. Another one of the key secrets of success, I believe, is to become an expert in something. And to find that part of your life that you enjoy. So if you're working on a day-to-day basis, whether you're in an entry-level position or in management or are looking to make a difference in your career, I think you have to become an expert. And if you listen to some of the experts on expertness, you have to be able to do something for 4 to 5 years generally so that you really own that territory. Because I find that if you're an expert, it doesn't matter if you're male or female or what your ethnic background may be or anything about you. People seek you out because they want what you have. And it levels the playing field in many ways.
Absolutely. Now, so you've been able to obviously strive and as many executive positions. What were some of the lessons that you learned? What was some of the lessons that you want to talk about?
Well, one of the other ones I would refer to as grit and perseverance, because I think many people think it's easy. In fact, as I was kind of finishing up my career, people said, "Oh, you're so lucky, you're so lucky." And what I found is that the harder I worked, the luckier I got. And most good things in life don't come to you in an easy way.
They're not handed to you.
No, they're not. You have to work for it. And sometimes that means you have to put more time into your career. Other times, you're trying to get that balance of your work and your family life. And I also believe that it's important to understand what winning is for you. You get to define that. And what's winning for you when you're starting your career may be different than when you're having a family or when mom or dad or your loved ones are ill. You have to take time to spend with them. And so defining what's winning and not letting other people put pressure on you to try to meet their expectations. You get to decide what's winning.
Now, in the book, you talk about the big R and the little r. There are rules for success. What are they?
Well, the big R rules are those things that people will tell you outright. So when you start a new job, you get the little employee manual about where to park and how to get paid and what you're supposed to wear. But the little R rules are the ones that are really important. And that's how you fit within the culture. And I give the example of when you come into a meeting room, where do you sit? When the boss says, "I like all your input," do they really mean that, or are they just saying that? And if you give them input, they're going to, in some ways, punish you or not be happy that you gave that input. So it's really important to sit back and to study, to watch what's going on, and perhaps find some people who will help you with kind of those subtle rules.
Now, our lines are open here. The book is called Playing to Win in Business. It's book 1 of the Just Respect for Women series. And you can go to Amazon.com and you can see it there. You can get it there. But everyone who's calling in is getting entered into win here by calling 602-277-5369 and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. We're going to be going to a break. When we come back, I want to talk further about the book. Can you give somebody just one example? Obviously, you talked a little bit about playing the games. What would be the next, obviously, something in the book that you want to tell them before we go to a break?
I think it's just, again, to know yourself and understand who and what you are, to really be in touch with what you want out of life and to make that clear. And again, to understand that will change from time to time, but to sit down consciously and look at what you want and are you happy with what you have in life.
Well, the book is not just for women. It happens to be for both men and women. But, of course, you are gearing it a little bit towards that way. And what we want is everyone to call in. This could be for you or someone that you know. I know I love reading books that help me. So, again, you can call here by calling 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. We're going to go to a break. We come back, we're going to talk further about this. It's Playing to Win in Business. It's book 1 of the Just Respect for Women series by Shirley A. Weiss. But you can call here and get it at 602-277-5369 and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100.
If I traded it all, if I gave it all.
So welcome back, everyone. We are talking with Shirley Weiss. She is an author and a speaker, and we are talking about her book today, Playing to Win in Business, Book 1 of the Just Respect for Women series. You have a website, which is Shirley Weiss. It's spelled WEISS.com. You can see all about her there. We also have our lines open here for everybody to get entered into win. So give us a call here. Get entered in to win a book at 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Certainly, it's a sort of geared to women, but not at the same time. It's not. How does that work again? Tell them about that.
Well, I think that I intended it for women and men, but I like to spend time with women because I think women sometimes do not have this kind of self-confidence. Often there's a sense that we're not as capable, and so I like to spend time with women, but I coach many men also, and the advice is the same. It's this whole principle of life being a series of games, and that you need to understand the rules and learn to play the game in order to be successful in all parts of your life.
Okay, so talking more a little bit about the book, of course, you were talking to us a little bit about some of the R's and the big R and the little r. So what about solving problems? Let's talk a little bit about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that I mentioned one of the keys to success, I believe, is being an expert, but also being willing to take on the tough problems. And for men and women, if you want to rise in most organizations, you have to be willing to step up and take some risks and to take on the difficult problems. I think that as much as it's sometimes scary to volunteer for a new project or work in another area of your organization, that's where you grow, and that's where you also get to show that you have the skills to move forward in your career. So for me, I became what I consider like the chief problem solver. Whenever someone had something they didn't want to have to handle themselves, I'd say, sure, I'll do it. I'll stay extra to handle the problem, or I'll take on a new project, work with a new team, train the new people, because I think that also demonstrates your ability to really be successful and to give back to the organization.
So women tend to, though, especially when you're working in with executives, okay, and there's a lot of men executives there. Sometimes we don't get the respect we think that we should have. What do you think about that?
Well, I believe that you have to give the respect, and it comes back in many ways. But I think also it's important to understand that sometimes the guys are just guys. I call it trash talk. They're teasing each other and razzing each other, and you have to not take it personally. And I was raised with 4 brothers, and you just had to get in there and give it back. But I find as I work with women who have only had sisters or work with a lot of women, sometimes something is said they'll take personally and really dwell on that, and to the point that they feel like they're not being successful or that they've been a failure in their position. So you just have to have a thick skin sometimes and come back and do it again.
Right. And the book is called Playing to Win in Business, Book 1 of the Just Respect for Women series. And it says right on the top here that to get a clear view on what it truly takes to drive, what drives a success in business, you should read Playing to Win in Business. Now, you can go to Amazon.com and get it. We are offering for everyone who's calling in to get entered into win. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Everyone who's calling it, if you don't think it's for you, give it to someone that you know. This is a great time of the year, and helping people in their business. I find that, I don't know, you told me that you also coach, okay? And you coach both men and women, okay? What do you find that the first number one find that people come and talk to you about their businesses and how, how to help them become successful? What is their first block that they usually come up against?
Well, I think there's 2 of them. One is this sense of respect and confidence, that they feel like they want to do something different, but they're not sure they're ready. And then the second part is the fear of moving forward and doing something new. And so I have a whole section in the book where I talk about knowing when it's time to leave the game. Because sometimes you are in a situation where you've either mastered the job and you're bored, or perhaps you feel like you've met a roadblock. and that you're not able to move forward. In fact, every time I made a change in my career is because people didn't see me the way I saw myself. There's an old movie, The Dirty Dancing, where baby's in the corner and her boyfriend says, no one puts baby in the corner. But you have to step up and stand up for yourself to say, I can be more, I can do more. I'm sorry you don't see it, but I'm ready to move forward and to take those risks. But, it's scary. You get very comfortable. The economy hasn't helped because I think people have been a little worried about moving to new roles or going to another organization because they were worried about job security. But it's coming back, and I think in order to really grow and to make the next step in your career, sometimes you have to say, I'm done with this game. I want to do a new game. I want to go somewhere else.
A lot of people have started their own businesses these days. Okay. Could this book help that person too?
I think so. Yes, I really do. There's a section where I talk about don't believe the press, and I think particularly when you have your own business, you have to have that vision. You have to be very focused, and again, not let the naysayers drag you down, because sometimes friends and family in particular are trying to be helpful, but they really don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. And then there's competitors who will try to drag you down and say things that may be negative, and that's where the focus and that sense of knowing what's winning and knowing who you are is so important.
Now, the website that she has for herself, it is Shirley Weiss, and it's W-E-I-S-S. What?
Just one S.
Oh, just one S. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It is only one S. So it is Shirley Weiss, WEIS.com, and you can go there. You can check her out. You can also go to Amazon.com. Our lines are open. We have people that want the book. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. One part of the questions here that you have here that I really like is that women, they care about being perfect. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that section too.
Well, I have a section where I talk about managing your losses. And I think for women, we often have been raised that we must be perfect. Part of how we're socialized is that you don't get dirty, you color within the lines. And I think for men, sometimes they're given a little more latitude to go try things. And, well, that's just the way it goes. But in order to learn and, again, to grow in your career, you have to be willing to take the risks. And you will have errors. You will have mistakes. You'll have times when you really failed. And I talk about some of the situations for me where I've had times where I just felt like I just blew my whole career. You go home, you put the covers over your head, you maybe have a good cry, and you get up the next day, and you really have to consciously evaluate, what did I learn, what did I do wrong, what could I have done better, and maybe you have to even apologize. You may have offended people, you may have made a mistake that cost some money for the company, but you have to own the mistake. And you have to learn from it, and then move on.
Now, again, I want to give out the website again. It is Shirley Weiss, WEIS.com. And we do have our lines open here, and our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Another one, I'm kind of moving around here because of the timing involved. Balancing your career with your daily life, too. Let's talk about that.
Well, there's the whole term of work-life balance, which I think is almost a misnomer, in that life is always ebb and flow, and you're always trying to get the right sense of what's right for you. As I mentioned, it changes with the phases of your life. When you're starting out in your career and you're single and maybe going to school, that requires a different kind of balance. If you decide to marry or have a spouse or a partner, then that changes dynamics, and certainly children do. But I think you have to also be careful about the people you surround yourself with. And so, as for instance, when I talk about my husband, I call him St. John, because he's been my biggest supporter. And you want to have people that believe in you and provide the support, because sometimes I've had to take the lead on home life. Sometimes he has. We've had to change our roles. At one point, I was living in Arizona working while he was still in Minnesota. So that it changes with time, and I think, again, with the circumstances of the world around you.
Sounds like this book is a book that you can read over and over again. It's a reference guide, sort of how to help you, by successing, by being successful. I'll get it out in your business. But life does change, and so as it changes, you can learn quite a bit by reading this book. And again, we have our lines open here. I'm going to let you call throughout the rest of the show to get entered in to win. Again, our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. The book is Playing to Win in Business, book 1 of the Just Respect for Women series. What's your final words?
Always play to win.
Always play to win. And this book, again, if you don't think it's for you, give it to someone you know. We're going to let you call throughout the rest of the show for it. Check her out on her website. It's Shirley Weiss, WEIS.com, or call us here at 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100.